Could you imagine what it was like living amongst animals capable of standing over 2 meters tall, weighing hundreds of kilograms, and powerful enough to kill a human in one swipe? Brown bears, for thousands of years, they lived right here in Britain, from the forests of England and Wales to the rugged landscapes of Scotland. Back then, Britain looked very different. Vast forests covered huge areas of the country. Woodlands stretched for miles, creating the perfect habitat for one of Europe's largest predators, although we don't know exactly how many bears lived here. Archaeological evidence suggests they were widespread across Britain and would have been a familiar presence in the wilderness. It was never empty. In the dense forests of ancient Britain, visibility was low. Sound traveled far before anything could be seen. For a hunter walking alone, every step mattered. A broken branch or a ruffle in the bushes, and suddenly they didn't feel alone. Despite surviving in Britain for thousands of years, brown bears would eventually disappear. One of the biggest reasons was habitat loss. As human populations grew, forests were gradually cleared for farming and settlements. The vast woodlands that bears depended on became smaller and smaller. At the same time, bears were hunted. Some were killed because they posed a threat to livestock. Others were hunted for meat, fur, or status. As people expanded across the landscape, bears found themselves competing with humans for space. Ironically, bears themselves were not particularly aggressive animals. Brown bears are opportunistic omnivores. They eat berries, roots, nuts, insects, fish when available, carrion, and occasionally larger animals. The image of a bear constantly hunting humans is largely a myth. In reality, most bears preferred to avoid conflict whenever possible, but avoiding people became impossible as Britain's wilderness shrank. And eventually, Britain lost one of its most iconic wild animals. For a hunter alone in Britain's ancient forests, a bear encounter would have been one of the most scary moments imaginable. But how would encounters usually end? Haha, anticlimactic, I know. Surprisingly, most encounters probably didn't end in violence. Like many large predators, brown bears generally prefer to avoid unnecessary risk. A serious injury can be a death sentence in the wild. A broken leg, damaged paw, or infected wound can prevent an animal from hunting or feeding successfully. So, when a bear encountered a human, it often had a choice to make. Was this worth the risk? In many cases, the answer was no. If the bear didn't feel threatened and wasn't protecting food or cubs, it would often assess the situation and move away. This behavior is still seen in brown bears around the world today. That doesn't mean they were harmless. Bears could be extremely dangerous under the wrong circumstances, and in the confined visibility of Britain's ancient forests, encounters could happen suddenly and at very close range. Most of the time, however, both human and bear had the same goal: to walk away alive. What's perhaps most surprising is how long bears actually survived in Britain. Many people assume they disappeared during the Ice Age, but they lasted far longer than that. Evidence suggests wild brown bears survived in Britain until roughly the early medieval period, with most estimates placing their disappearance around 1,000 years ago. The Britain we know today has existed without bears for centuries, but imagine if that wasn't the case. Imagine hiking through the forests of Wales or Scotland, knowing that a brown bear might be somewhere beyond the trees. Imagine woodland warning signs. Imagine going fishing and having a bear join you and your pals. The stories of sightings spreading through villages and towns. The British countryside would feel very different. So here's a question. How would you feel if wild bears still roamed Britain's forests today? Would you welcome them back? Or would you prefer them to remain part of history? Let me know what you think in the comments. A lot of effort goes into creating this content, so if you enjoyed this journey into Britain's forgotten wildlife, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.